Welcome to the 92nd episode of the Nerdom and Other Wahaha anime podcast. Today, we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the 5th week of the spring 2019 anime season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and the podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we will spoil pretty much everything. My name is Bcom, and please join us as we praise our new cult, religion, the Church of Laughter. Wah-ha-ha! 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 Also with me are Kat and Leo.
I love how Kat still fucked it up.
I mean, what do you want from me? Like, you can only expect so much,
three
dude.
words.
So yeah, me and Leo are still watching Hitori Bochi on the side.
Yes.
It's a really good, it's a nice show. I think it's
fun.
really picked up. It's
Okay,
way better than
have
it
you
started.
ever thought, though, Hitori Bochi's parents, they fucking knew damn well that her name was gonna mean Hitori Bochi, and they fucking did that shit to her on purpose.
It's true.
Those are the shittiest parents that have ever existed, and
didn't
if I
think
were
about
her,
that.
I would change my name the second I was 18. And I would tell them to go fuck themselves. And then
And
I
what
would get like
does-
50,000 friends.
And what does Hitori Bochi mean?
Alone.
All alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's pretty mean.
It doesn't even just mean alone. It's like emphasis, doesn't it? It's like all alone.
Mm-hmm.
With an exclamation point on the end. That's pretty bad.
Maybe they meant it to mean that like she's all alone because she's like unique and she's in her own class and nobody else can touch her because she's so good. But that's not what they
I
meant.
don't know.
They just meant like our daughter's
they
piece
were
of shit.
just shitty. They're like, we think that this child will never love anyone in their life. They're such a loser. Let's name them Hitori Bochi.
Mm-hmm.
It
Way-
does
way
make
to
you wonder about her parents because she's so shy and all that stuff. It's like, how were they raising her? I mean, why'd she turn out this way?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Now
probably
you're
got some
asking the
issues.
real questions, Leo.
I guess
the real
we did.
questions.
We did get to see her mom that one episode, and she seemed pretty normal.
I want to see the follow-up
about
series, like Hitori Bochi goes to the psychiatrist.
Oh my god. Could you imagine? And she's like, well, and then I saw someone die when I was 2 or something. You're like, oh shit.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So what kind of nonsense did you get into, Bcom?
So I know you and I both watched John Wick Part 3.
We
Hell
all
yeah.
watched it.
Oh, did you watch it too? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Nice.
that movie was so good.
There were really good parts. There were also parts that made no fucking sense at all.
Yeah.
Like the
I
part
love
at
that
the end where
goofiness,
he
though.
falls. Like, what? How many stories was that?
Oh.
A fuck ton.
Like 6, at least.
6 or 7, and he just like, oh, well, let's scoop him up in this wheelbarrow and like take him. No, that's
Yeah,
not the way gravity works.
He's
Spoilers,
fine.
by
He'd
the
be
way,
fucking
guys.
dead. He'd be so dead. And okay, I had this pointed out to me. So this whole series, these 3 movies, takes place over like a couple weeks.
Yeah, if that, yeah.
So think about all the shit he did in the first 2 movies, and all the bruises and all of the shit.
He
all of the
recuperates
injuries.
very fast.
There is no way that man would be alive. No way.
Well, how about that scene where they throw him through glass panels for about 3 solid minutes? That's all they're doing is picking up and throwing him through glass. I'm like, how long is this going to go?
Well,
That
you know,
room was
he,
amazing.
like cut up all the shit. Like that's so total bullshit.
I also, like, I knew I was down for this movie when he entered a room filled with cases of, like, old knives and tomahawks in, like, this museum. And I was like, oh, this is going to be... And this
That
is before anything happened in that scene. I'm, like, watching him walk in there, and I'm like, this is going to be an amazing fight.
Oh,
It
it's
was
some of the most brutal deaths, too. You're just like,
yeah, it is
oh,
really
God.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, why have they not made any of these movies into a video game?
That's a good question.
Because this is like built almost as a video game.
It's a good point. Like, Was there ever like a 2D one? I thought there was maybe like a little 2D game somebody made, but that might have just been for fun.
I think it's probably because movie to video game don't really work very well at all.
A lot of the time, yeah, they don't. It's
Well,
hard to
but this
tell.
one is almost built for it.
It really
Like, they could
is.
just go scene to scene.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be like done well. It'd be like some shitty shooter or something like that. That's usually what happens.
It'd be so hard to make it anywhere near as cool as the movie is, but
I guess.
Yeah.
one of the things I really like about it is just all of they've like fully embraced the Matrix references now. Like when they ask John Wick what he needs and he goes guns, lots of guns in the theater, I like literally like yelped. I was like, ah! I fucking love that line from the Matrix. And you know, the director who is like the stunt guy on the Matrix, in the Blu-ray commentaries for the other two movies, he always talked about how like he learned everything from like the Wachowskis when making the Matrix with them. And so like all of these like homages and like having like Lawrence Fishburne there and everything, it's so cool. It's like a continuation of those Matrix movies that I so badly kind of want in one way, but like don't want. Like I kind of want like this spiritual successor homage type of thing more than I want like actual Matrix movies.
I want to be honest, Lawrence Fishburne is straight up just Morpheus if he was a homeless king.
Yeah, pretty
Like, he's
much.
straight up the same character.
So good. Oh man. Oh, so much
Well,
fun.
and apparently there's like an artist who has been drawing like John Wick JoJo mashup. Have
nice.
you seen that?
No, that's
No.
awesome though.
We'll link it.
Put it in our
the-
Discord, Kat.
in the
I wanna see
Discord.
this.
Yeah, link that in the
Yeah.
Discord.
Because it's pretty ridiculous.
The other thing I watched this like over the past like 2 weeks was I watched the entire second Gundam series, which is called Zeta Gundam or Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta, whatever. Which was 50 episodes long, and that was interesting because the original Gundam is a really interesting show. It has a lot of like interesting ideas. And it follows like this crew of characters through all these episodes as they just constantly are fighting for their lives. The second, it's a sequel, the second series, but it's a really weird sequel because it literally does like nothing you would expect with any of those characters. Like instead of sticking with like the main character, it just has a new main character entirely who is kind of mirrors the journey of the original main character. This character named Camille Bidan, who it's funny in like the first scene of the like the new anime, he gets really pissed because some guy who turns out to be the major villain in a lot of ways, thinks that his name sounds really girly for a guy, and so Camille goes up and punches this guy in the face, and it's like kind of an infamous scene in like the Gundam fandom. It's really funny, but he's like very similar to Amuro, who is the main character of the original Gundam, but just, I don't know, slightly different in ways. And like, so the other characters will show up, like Amuro does show up like in the series, but it's like not that often. It's like for a few episodes. And the main villain of the original series is sort of like a good guy now, and it's really mysterious. It's such a weird thing that they decided to do. Like, they made so many strange decisions in making a second Gundam series. The one thing that they stayed true to is that whenever people need to, like, express emotions, they just slap each other in the face. Like, there's so many slaps in Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta. It's insane. I call it Mobile Slap Gundam because of this. It's so ridiculous. There's people just constantly slapping each other. The other really goofy thing is like whenever people want to talk to each other and they're in space in mechs, they like get out of the cockpit and like float over to each other and then talk and then get back in and go fight again. It's really dumb, but it's
okay,
fun.
so they can make giant mechas, but they haven't figured out
like radio.
Apparently not.
It's funny because like it's sci-fi based on like, you know, early 80s thinking, I guess. So I don't know. So like some things don't make sense like today.
Well, I mean, I guess it's just what they imagined at the time.
Exactly,
Like, they
yeah.
couldn't imagine that far ahead, so
And yeah, a lot of the show is about like human connection to each other and stuff. So, and then like these different politics playing against each other. It's a pretty decent show for its time. But yeah, it's extremely sexist.
Well, most Gundams are. Yeah. I mean, the whole point of the female characters in Gundam seems to be so that they can have kids.
Well,
and then like there can be a spinoff with that child.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched that many Gundams, so I may be wrong. But that's what it feels like sometimes listening.
In Zeta Gundam, a lot of the point of the women is so they can die to protect a man.
Oh, or die to protect a man. Yeah, okay.
It's good stuff.
That's an important distinction.
What nonsense did you notice this week, Kat?
Okay, so I found out about this story locally in Indiana that just made me laugh so much. So, and it shouldn't because it's really quite
sound like
nasty.
Something you should laugh about.
But it is. It's fucking funny. I don't care. Okay, so there was this like house in the neighborhood that I guess no one was living there currently, but it wasn't abandoned, but it was just sitting there. And someone went into the backyard, and this is an area of Indiana where the homes are a little bit historic. So, like, they have very small backyards, right? Everyone can see into everyone else's backyard. The houses are pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because the houses are small, and the backyards are small, and the houses are old, there isn't supposed to be any burning in the backyards.
Oh, no.
So... I think it's like noon. I think it's at like 12:30 p.m. Some person drives up to this house, has a dead body, right?
Oh, wow.
They get into the backyard of his house with this dead body, and they're like, I'm just going to set it on fire to get rid of the evidence. Like, it's... Everyone can see. It's like 12:30 p.m.
Like, why would you do this in the middle of a neighborhood? This is so dumb. Oh my god.
I know. And so like they won't say who. They're keeping everything very hush hush. Whoever it was, they were like setting it up. They were about to light it. They'd like put gasoline on it. There's the dead body laying there on the twigs or whatever. And before he could even get to that point, like, someone had called the cops, and they came and arrested him.
Man.
Whew.
Apparently it was a 20-year-old girl who was the body. That's terrible.
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh. It's very sad that someone died. But it's also very sad that someone was able to kill someone and yet is that stupid.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
I hope that... I'm glad that they're that stupid, but also, like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Indiana is a strange place.
Very strange.
I bet that guy had, like, some kind of psychological background or something, too. Which is why he made such a dumb
It's hard to know, like, what his thought process was. Like, because, and I mean, this is the part where I get kind of into weird thinking. Because I'm like, but you could have done this, and then you may not have been found. Or you could have done this. And then I'm like, why am I trying to help him?
Again, listeners, if I disappear, Kat is your number one suspect.
That's a good point. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just... Indiana is a weird place, y'all.
I'm glad you guys are still alive. Every week we do a new podcast. I'm just like, I say a little prayer, you know. One more podcast together. Oh, thank God. Yep. All right, Leo, tell us about the Fruits Basket.
Yes.
Okay.
A show that could use a little bit more murder. Spice it up.
Who's going to die?
Kyo.
What? So you come back with one of his 9 lives. Episode 5. I've been fooling myself. Tohru tells the guys the renovations on her grandfather's house are done and ready for them to move back into. She's kind of down, but figures her grandfather's place is probably really nice. Yeah, it's fucking brand new at this point. You can tell she really likes cooking for the guys because she has like a flashback of cooking for her mom even when she like was sick and had a fever and all that stuff. The day before Tohru leaves, she basically goes all mom on them and says there's food in the fridge and the trash recently changed and so on, so on. It was kind of funny. She goes to pack her room, and Shigeru notes that Kyo and Yuki are being extremely gloomy.
Yeah.
The both are actually just taking it pretty hard, and they both remember all the kindness she always showed them because, you know, Tohru can never do no wrong or see no evil. Tohru is settling in when she is called downstairs at her grandparents' house. It turns out her aunt hired like a private detective to keep tabs on Tohru because her son is going to be a police officer and they can't have somebody in the family to have a bad rap. This is Tohru we're talking about.
And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
You know
what
nothing.
Kind of snobby bitch is this?
Yeah.
You know
Who's
nothing
like,
about
I
your
need
family.
to investigate this bitch because I think she's just a 2-bit whore and I can't have her around my son.
To be fair, she was living in a tent.
I mean, but she's not like a slut. Like, I don't know what she thought she was gonna find.
Yeah, no, they
And
just
then
want
she
you to
brings
hate
up
this
her
family.
mom, like, your mom was a rebel, and da-da-da. And I'm like, fuck you. I love the grandpa slapping her.
Oh,
slapping
yeah,
the
that
guy?
was great.
Yeah.
Her cousin, yeah. It's also kind of funny when Toru's female cousin is impressed that she was living with some guy. She's like, whoa, I haven't even done that. Yeah, but then this is where her dick male cousin asks her if she was like violated, and that's when their grandfather like slaps him. He then proceeds to tell Tohru she doesn't have to live with them if she doesn't want to, and should go to where she can spread her wings and basically be free and be herself. She starts crying tears of joy and like she closes her eyes, and then when she opens them again, Yuki's still suddenly standing there, and he like asks her if she would like to come back with him. And then we just kind of go back in time a little bit, and Yuki and Kyo are just like bickering at each other because Toru's gone. Yuki eventually gets Toru's memo and goes in search of her grandfather's house. When Kyo finds out that he took the memo, he goes after him. They have some trouble finding the house first because the plaque was still covered by like plastic from the renovations. And when they go up to the house, that's when they accidentally end up eavesdropping on this conversation we just heard them have. They hear the whole thing, and that's when like they just let themselves inside. And then Toru's like, I want to go home with the Soumas. And so she goes home with them, and then Kyo takes her outside while Yuki like retrieves Toru's things. The two get to have like their emotional moment, and then like all three of them go back hand in hand. That's how the episode ends. It's pretty easy, short synopsis, really.
This episode, it felt so rushed. Well, I think it's partially because of like what they wanted to do with the format, where they wanted to show Toru's experience with like meeting this family and like having it go wrong, and then
she
they
was
wanted
there
to
for
show 10
minutes.
Yeah, she was literally there for like 15 minutes, and then they wanted to show Yuki and Kyo their flashback of their experience of coming to find her and seeing her through the window. I get that, but man, they should have made this like 2 episodes or something, because like it felt so unearned. Like when she's just like, I've been gone for 15 minutes and I'm already crying. This is the worst. Well, it's like, come on, like I just didn't feel it. I should have felt it, but I didn't.
Stayed one night or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. She should have stayed at least a night or discovered something. Or
yeah, she literally had not even unpacked yet.
Yeah. Well,
Yuki went upstairs and just grabbed her fucking bag. Like, that's how long she'd been there.
I love also how the grandfather was just like, I'm sorry, they can't help it. They're just unpleasant people.
yeah.
And he keeps calling Tohru by her mother's name.
Oh, that was funny too.
Yeah.
And I guess Tohru explains in a flashback what like the fruits basket thing is, because like I guess when she was a kid they played this like fruits basket game, and when she was playing she was like really excluded and kind of bullied because people called her like an onigiri. like
Yeah.
a rice ball.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is that? First of all, there's like a Japanese market near me. I went there yesterday and I got 2 onigiri and they were so delicious. Like if somebody called,
Whoa.
what?
There's a fucking Japanese
Yeah.
market near you, and you
yeah.
haven't posted pictures of all of the shit at this Japanese market that you live near.
Oh,
This
good
is
call,
true.
Kat.
Good point. I should do that soon.
Come on.
I was so excited to discover this place like a couple weeks back. I didn't know it was there. And so, yeah, I got like a shrimp tempura onigiri and like a salmon one yesterday for lunch, and they were amazing.
Dude, fuck
So, yeah,
you.
if I was called an onigiri, I'd be like happy, but I guess not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. So also like the scene with her remembering her mom's advice about how she can afford to be self-centered kind of mirrors the advice that Kyo gives her at the end of the episode, which was cute. And yeah, like, so like there was a nice message delivered here. Like, I will be honest, like some of the emotional strings that they pulled like definitely worked. Like when the guys showed up and like brought her away from those fucking evil bastards. But like they should have played it out a little longer, I feel like. I felt like it was just too quick.
Yeah. It was a little quick. I mean, I feel like them coming together for the sake of her hit right, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. Too rushed. It's like Game of Thrones.
But it's not that different than the original episode, I don't think. Because I remember it going how it went.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume I would assume I would have the same problem with the original episodes, but I haven't watched yet this one. But when I do, I'll see if I feel the same way.
Cool.
Anyway, you want to talk about JoJo?
Again, I just talked about one.
That's not the OP anymore, Kat. Get
It
over
doesn't matter. It's always the OP in my heart. It'll never change. This bullshit they have playing now.
Bizarre Adventure Part 5 Golden Wind. Episode 29. Get to the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
They start off by running a search to try and match the death mask with anybody and get nothing. They even try like deceased people in case he faked his own death, but still nothing. And then like Trish informs him she can feel her father is nearby. Because if you remember earlier, they could both kind of sense each other somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's been quite a couple episodes ago. But then suddenly, so they're in the turtle, by the way. They're looking on the laptop. But then suddenly, like a voice comes from the computer saying he has been waiting a long, long time for somebody trying to defeat Diavolo, which is his name, boss's name. They don't know if he's a friend or foe, and at worst, and eventually convinces them because he knows his stand's ability allows Diavolo to skip through time. And they're like, okay, he definitely knows something. Diavolo wouldn't leave one of his underlings alive if they knew his ability. So they're like, okay, that makes sense. And then like they ask him about his name, and interestingly, he says his name is not important and that his body can know, and like he can no longer fight. So like we don't know what this guy's a total fucking mystery with no name. He can't fight. We don't know what's going on with him.
That whole exchange just reminded me of like that. Never mind. It's a dumb reference. I'll be quiet.
Kat's like, I'm about to say something so stupid, I need to just stop.
I need to check myself before I wreck myself. Is what I just did. Right.
He wants them to meet them in Rome because he says the arrow can do more than bring out the stand in people and will give them this knowledge, along with the possibility to defeat King Crimson and his almost near invincibility, because yes, his stand is pretty OP. And then Doppio, after stealing some ice cream from some girls, answers the ice cream, talks again to Diavolo, who thinks something is up, and Bruno's team departed immediately. He has Doppio check out the statue, find nothing, and then he tells him to get a hold of, God, this fucking name, Chocolata. It's like kind of how they say it.
It's like chocolate, so it's like chocolata. Chocolata.
Oh, is it really chocolate? Because the whole time, every time he says his fucking name, I'm like, chocolate.
Yeah, that's how you say chocolate in Italian. Chocolata.
Chocolata and Secco and send them to stop Bruno's team. He also wants Doppio to investigate what it is that Bruno's team found out. What's interesting about that pair is like even Diavolo doesn't know anything about them, and he thinks they're scum too. He's just like using them as a last resort. So it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, and secco means dry in Italian.
Dry chocolate. The guy in the computer then tells them about the arrows. This is, if anybody knows the history of this damn arrow, this is just even, it's JoJo, just going to get more absurd with it. So
I'm so annoyed at this, but continue.
10,000s of years ago, a meteorite landed in what is Cape York in Greenland. During an expedition, 2 of the members became horribly sick and died. What they found out was that there was a virus that traveled here on the meteorite. Some power-crazed man, eventually later on, turned this meteorite into arrows. And this is where we all know that if you can survive it, you are gifted with a new life powers, is how they described it. Also, a.k.a. stands. Yeah. So now it's a space virus.
I feel like the same way about this that I do about like when in the Star Wars prequels they decided to explain the Force with midichlorians in your bloodstream.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
It's just so unnecessary. Why would you do this?
So stand powers are now from a space virus. He then
yeah, it just feels weird. I did like how they explained how like that's why your stand is like your personality.
Yeah.
I can't find it anymore, but it was out there. But like the evolution of how this arrow worked, and it's fucking hilarious to look at it because of how it evolved over time.
Yeah.
Computer guy then tells him it also has a hidden power, and he can only tell one of them if they meet him at the Roman Colosseum. Yeah.
That seems like some bullshit. You can only tell one of them if you meet me in this place. That's like a scam like that you find on the internet.
Yeah.
So they get to Rome, and we learn about Cioccolata and Secco. Cioccolata is a twisted individual who loves to watch people die, and he likes to film it. Probably gives him a big old boner too. He first.
I mean, did you see how obsessive he is? Like, did you film it? Did you film it? I'm like, holy shit, chill out.
Yeah. So he first worked in a nursing home, and he would tell the patients their families didn't love them, and then would drive them to suicide.
That's awful.
And he would also give them fucked up drugs and shit. Crazy. And then that's when he's like, I want to be a doctor, so I can get away with more. And he. Yeah, did like the same thing. He would like take perfectly healthy patients and give and like be like, oh, you have this and this, and then give reasons to operate on them. And then he'd turn down the anesthesia so they'd wake up in the middle of it, and he's like holding their guts.
Yikes!
So
that scene was unsettling.
Yeah.
Like, you can imagine that, like, your worst nightmare when you go under for surgery, you, like, wake up and, like, somebody's just, like, fumbling around with your intestines or some shit. Like, that would be the worst. I would just be like, I'm going back to sleep. I expect this to be fixed when I wake up again.
This is a nightmare? And also, Secco was apparently one of Cioccolato's patients. And for whatever reason, just follows him willingly at his beck and call. Mm-hmm. So Cioccolata starts using his stand. Crunchyroll calls it green tea, but it's actually Green Day.
I have to say, green tea is a really hilarious alternate for Green Day.
Green Day. That makes. I love that they named it Green Day, though. The image of like Japan can't imagine any band more toxic than Green Day. That's more of a poison.
I didn't look at it that way. So he uses his stand, Green Day, and like we see a bunch of town folks dying from like this green mold consuming them. Mista first gets some on his hand when he reaches down for his pistol, and Narantia gets a whole bunch when he jumps down into the boat. He even starts consuming the turtle and like starts getting inside, and that's when they figure out when the body moves down, it triggers Green Day's ability. They barely get back up on shore on time when Mista has to like blow up the boat to propel Narantia and the turtle back on shore, and that's just kind of how it ends.
Interesting. We didn't find out Secco's ability or anything, right? We don't know that yet.
Next episode you do.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because I just wrote up that synopsis before we started.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's cool that they're back in Rome. It's a favorite setting of mine, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm just annoyed with the stupid ancient stand virus bullshit. But it's JoJo, so like whatever.
Going to try to find that timeline of how the arrow was supposed to work while somebody else finally gets to talk for once.
Nice.
God.
Okay. So, now we've got Demon Slayer. Episode 5, My Own Steel.
Ooh.
So, the episode starts with like a flashback of the last episode, and it kind of it goes on for a minute. And I was a little irritated. Like the part where he cuts the monster's head off again.
I saw that and I was like, oh, we're watching a shonen.
Yep. I was like, we don't need to see it again. We know. And there's a flashback of his master capturing the demon originally. And I don't know, like he didn't seem that special when he captured him. Like he was just this little guy. So I'm like, how did he get so successful on this little island?
Well, I guess
like,
once you eat one or a few more humans, like he just kept growing and getting more and more dangerous.
I guess I was just surprised because I was figuring that he was already really strong and but and then I don't know, when he dies, like when he actually like cuts his head off, like Urodaki and Tanjiro are kind of layered over one another, which was like a nice artistic touch, I think.
Yeah,
like in the flashback,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they also have they have scenes to make you feel bad for the demon, and I'm like, I don't really.
Well, he used to be human once.
I mean, yeah, but it is important, I guess. I don't know. They have like a scene where he starts to regain the memory of his brother who he killed, and he cries, and Tanjiro holds his hand, and he's like, oh, I hope he's not a demon in his next life, and it's all very sweet and touching. And I kind of vomited in the corner a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Tanjiro sees all the students who died and is like, I won, so you can move on. Or go be with Urodaki, who you love. And it's very sweet. It's actually a really good scene. It's just a little cheesy, but I can be okay with that part.
I did really like the music, I think, that was playing during that like black and white flashback with Urodaki and everything. It was really good.
Yes, it was very good. And then you see flashes of Tanjiro like completing the rest of the exam, like getting from one side of the island or whatever to the other. And he keeps like going up to demons, asking them if they know how to turn back into a human. And then they attack him and he kills them. And he's like, why does this keep happening to me? And then he does it again. And I just kept thinking, I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Yep.
He finally reaches the end. And you see like 3 more people made it.
So
even
4?
Though
Yeah.
4 altogether.
Yeah.
That you see. This is important.
Yeah.
Even though there were 20.
I see you caught it too.
Yes.
But we'll get to it.
So he feels bad about that one guy that didn't make it that he saw.
Yeah.
They saved, yeah.
But I was like, dude, okay. That guy abandoned Tanjiro immediately.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Like, I don't think you need to feel bad. They first get these new uniforms, and then they talk about how there are 10 ranks of demon hunters, and they list them all very monotonously. No, I'm fucking not gonna list them.
I heard that, and I was like, I'm not remembering this.
No, and I was like, why are they even taking the time to tell us this?
Because also,
why not just tell us this is the lowest rank? This is the one that you are.
Maybe in
there
Japanese,
the
meanings make like really sense to Japanese people, so it's like easy for them to remember. But like when you tell it to us, we're like, "What the fuck nonsense did you just say?"
And it was only when they got to the end of the list that I realized that they had started at the highest rank and were going to the lowest rank. And I was like, "Oh, come on, you did it that way? Like what the fuck?" I'm so confused now. God damn it.
But yeah, so we're not gonna say any of those because all that matters is there's 10 ranks.
Yeah.
They pick out ore for their quote unquote color changing swords that they apparently get, which I guess they're gonna get in a few weeks. I guess it takes time to make it.
Yeah, and like he sniffs out his, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, they're like, you must choose it yourself, and then we'll make the sword. And they just give you a bunch of rocks that all look the same. And you know it has to be important that they're making them choose it. Because Because that implies that there's a wrong choice, or there's like one that's better than the other one.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, why are you doing that to them? Because they're all clueless. They're young. You're not giving them any hints. Are you like, just tell them what they need to know? I don't know.
Also, one of the guys, the one who talks the most and is kind of really irritable, his name is Genya, apparently. Mm-hmm. And he's voiced by Nobuhiko Okamoto, who voiced Bakugo in My Hero Academia, and you can totally hear it in his angry, angsty voice. It's exactly the same.
I can see that. I hope that voice actor doesn't get kind of pigeonholed into characters like that, though.
Too late.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's, I don't know. Yeah, that guy gets really angry at one point and is demanding his sword now, and like, I got through the thing, I want it now, and like grabs
the white hair girl,
the white hair girl, and is like shaking her, and Tanjiro's like, I'm gonna break your arm if you don't stop, and he just keeps shaking her, and then he's like, oh, okay, and just breaks his arm. I love that.
Well, he doesn't break his arm. He just keeps squeezing it and squeezing it until
I think he did
until the other
break
guy's like, "What the fuck, dude? Okay."
I think he did hurt it or do something.
He just made it sore because he kind of rubs afterwards.
He
Like,
definitely hurt something. Like, I don't know if he broke it, though.
Who knows? But yeah, they also apparently get these things called Kazuki crows. Mm-hmm. They all get their own, which they're creepy as all hell.
Why?
They have the weirdest voice. You must go to the village. That's what they sound like.
That was
They're
creepy.
What about the sparrow? Is the sparrow creepy?
Oh, yeah, the blonde guy gets a sparrow for some random reason.
It's funny.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, so they all pick their ore. They, like, you know, they get the fuck home. They get to all leave. Then there's this scene where they're in a house. There's like, and there's a guy talking to someone else, and he says, "As many as 5 survived."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So is
And then
there
he
a
calls them all
mystery?
his children.
So is there a mystery 5th kid that made it through and he wasn't there for some reason?
I assume so.
That's just weird. I'm not sure what. Yeah, some of this seems like mystery for mystery's sake, but I do enjoy the story overall. Mm-hmm. So I'll let it be, but I guess we'll see what happens with that. Tanjiro, okay, this annoys me. Instead of being like, I just went through this terrible ordeal, I'm beat up, I'm exhausted. Instead of being like, let me go find an inn and I'll chill out for like a day or two, and then I'll head back home. No. He's like, I'm going to drag my ass home, half dead, collapse in the road several times on the way. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's being an idiot.
Yeah.
But he needs to get home to see his sister, his cute little sister.
His sister. Yeah. But he does get home eventually, and Nezuko kicks the door out.
Yeah.
And like comes
awesome.
out as he gets close to the house, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
So, do you think it was like kind of suspicious that Nezuko like woke up finally when he was away?
Yeah.
And she was alone.
Or did she wake
presumably?
up whenever she sensed him coming closer?
That's
That's what I
possible
think.
too.
I
Yeah.
think she just woke up like that the moment just before she kicked open the door.
I just wonder if like in a later episode we'll get like a flashback where like Urokodaki told Nezuko something important while he was away, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe. But yeah, then Urodaki drops all the wood he's carrying and is like shocked to see that after all these students who've died, he finally had one make it. And they all hug and cry and, oh God, stop, please. I can't take it.
Okay.
At that point, I was like, oh, it hurts. But, you know, in a good way.
Your
then,
cat's heart started beating again for once.
Oh, I just can't take that. No. Yeah, but
What
yeah,
is this
Urodaki-
feeling?
Cat like runs to the
The
kitchen
feeling
and like
of love. I can't do it.
she locks herself in her refrigerator for like half an hour to slow down her heart rate.
But yeah, then Urudaki explains that there are different types of demons and they all have different abilities. And I'm like, we already kind of know that though. And then he explains that he thinks that Nezuko has been sleeping instead of eating, which I guess makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, to like recharge herself. Yeah.
Okay. Then this fucking crazy ass son of a bitch comes.
I love this guy's mask.
This guy, his name is like Haga Nezuko. He's got a clown mask on that looks like a doofus who like has his mouth twerked to the side.
Yep.
And he's got like glass bulb shiny things.
Oh, hanging
Just
from his hat. See,
all over hanging from his hat.
I like how the show has the moments like this. You got like these kind of funny things like him, and you got like Nezuko being cute, and it kind of pulls you out from the show because really without those, this show is just really dark.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of help lighten the mood, and because you're sitting here like, oh man, and then they show up and you're like,
yeah, let's take a breath. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
But yeah, so he's like, oh, I have your sword, blah, blah. And he rants on about how the material in the sword has like these awesome powers and absorbs the power of the sun and all this. And he calls Tanjiro a child of brightness because he's got red hair, I guess.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And he's like, Tanjiro, your sword is going to be red and I'm excited to see it. And he like invites himself at this point into the house to see it.
Well,
So
Tanjiro the whole time was trying to be like, can you come in and I can make you some tea, please?
Oh, that's true. And he was just
ranting.
continuing to talk. That is true. But I feel like Urudaki did not want that guy in his house. Because did you see like the looks that Urudaki was giving him? Like, he did not want that guy here. It's obvious he's had some sort of interaction with him before. And he's like, nope, I don't like you. So they all sit down. Tanjiro like draws the sword and it turns black instead of red, which is apparently a bit unusual.
He's the black swordsman. It's Kirito. He's back.
Oh, shut up. Shut up, Bcom.
So excited.
And the dude's disappointed. And then at this point, the crow comes in and like gives him a mission to go to this other.
You're talking about, cat.
He gives to stop a demon who's eating young girls, and the fucking crow's voice is so annoying. Like I said before, and it's like, Tanjiro, you must go. It's like if Yoda became a shrill grandma who like swallowed a frog. That's what the fucking crow sounds like.
That was very specific.
Doesn't it sound like Yoda though? It talks like Yoda.
Yeah. It's supposed to be that kind of thing. Yeah. It is weird.
It's terrible. I never want the crow to talk again.
Oh,
and
you know it's coming again.
Whoever the fuck voices the crow, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they need to think about their life.
Oh,
That's all I'm
unfortunately, the
saying.
crow isn't shown as a character in my anime list right now.
I think they're doing a very good job. I think they're fine.
No.
Oh man. Oh yeah. No, I mean the only thing I was gonna say is like I said it earlier, but like I just fucking love the music in this show. It's so good. Yuki Kajira is so good. Watch anything they do. Like so now he has a special sword and a special crow and special friends. So now it's time to go out on some adventures. Let's go.
Yeah.
The training arc is ended.
Speaking of lots of adventures, Dororo, when are you going to talk about anything, Bcom?
In the second half, I've got a couple things to talk
He's
about.
going to dominate that second half.
Well, I got all of the first half except for one. Episode 17, The Story of Questions and Answers.
So let me just say, this was weird. Because remember, we ended with the end of the shark thing last episode, right? Yeah. And then, like, it does not continue that immediately. It goes off into this episode, which was all about, like, Hyakimaru.
No, it's the episode after this one where they go back to it.
It's weird.
Yeah, so Jukai, he's out doing his prosthetic thing, and there's these bandits around him constantly, like, stealing them. Like, he puts an arm on some dude, and then he turns his back to it, and, like, a bandit steals the fucking arm. And then like
I love how the bandits are like, this does nothing, right? Like, we're just gonna come steal it. Why are
this
you
old
doing
man
it?
comes up to him and goes, why don't you do this for the living? And Jukai says it's not that easy to save the living or something like that. It was kind of cryptic. And then like suddenly a ghoul comes out of nowhere and kills like one of the bandits. Then for reasons unknown to him passes Jukai and goes after the old man instead. Then like Hyakimaru shows up to kill the ghoul and the two are like happily reunited. They're like, oh my god! Jukai marvels at some of the limbs and skin that Hyakimaru has managed to get back. And Hyakimaru wants Jukai to make him a new leg. And Jukai kind of like keeps skirting the issue and doesn't really want to make him one and says that they should like eat instead.
Mm-hmm.
He then asks Hyakimaru to tell him everything when he finds out he met his father. Nuen no Kata, Hyakimaru's mom, has also just woken up, and when Tohru Maru finds out, he just like brushes it off, news aside, and then like goes out hunting for ghouls instead because there's like been a report or something. So he's an asshole now. Jukai
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, Jukai is like we jump around, but I think I smashed it together later on. Jukai is reeling from what Daigo said to Hyakimaru and like embraces him because he's like, oh man, that's so awful. Again, Hyakimaru asks for like a new leg and Jukai refuses because he will just go back out, fight more demons, get his body parts back, and doom a whole domain in the process. He also like cuts the one prosthetic leg he had sitting around, and then like suddenly there's like a landslide and it like seals them inside their cave they're in. And while Hyakimaru continues to dig themselves out, Jukai continues to try and convince Hyakimaru that retrieving his body is not a good idea. He even tells him if he will even be human anymore once he has gotten his body back. He also says there will be nobody out there for him when it's all done. Hyakimaru tells him no, and he thinks about Dororo. So that's kind of cool. He finally digs all the way through and finds like a bunch of ghouls outside. Apparently this tree had been soaking up blood from the battlefield, and then would drop these fruits, and these ghouls would come out of them.
Demon tree.
Yeah, this is like level 1 bullshit to him because he just murders everything really quickly.
He's like, oh, it's the tree? Let me just murder the tree. Let's do it.
The two get ready to say goodbye and have like a touching kind of funny moment when he calls Jukai mama because he's like a mama to him. Yeah, he's like, that's not right, but I'll still take it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's what you know, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
As Hyakimaru walks away, a demon barely alive like bites into Jukai's leg and then dies, and Jukai realizes before he must have never looked alive to them in its eyes, and he has finally earned his right to eventually die.
Huh.
So, some deep shit there, man.
It's cool.
Yeah, he's still torn up about crucifying all those people on that cliff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And he was also, obviously, like, because of this whole conversation he had with Hyakimaru, he was still torn about, like, whether training Hyakimaru to kill demons was the right thing to do. And
right.
Seems more at peace about it now.
So, through a conversation between Hyakimaru's mom and Daigo, which we kind of knew all along, but it's confirmation that the god statue sacrificed her head so that Hyakimaru could live. Daigo tells her she is overthinking it and leaves. One of his like ninjas arrive and he wants him to guard the Hall of Hell, and the ninja also tells him that they have had a sighting of the kid that was traveling with Hyakimaru. Tohru Maru has also now come upon the house of a merchant who has been missing since the ghoul was sighted. They go inside and see something like moving the raptors. It turns out it's Yuki from Fruits Basket in his rat form.
Yeah.
And like attacks them.
Yuki. Very ugly.
Tohru Maru does manage to slice like off a limb before it disappears back into the rafters. Mutu then goes upstairs and finds that the rat ghoul had killed the family to feed its children. They eventually managed to pin it down, and then they burn down the house with all the ghouls still inside. And Tohru Maru also tells his two companions he won't let his feelings cloud his judgment and will do anything for his people. He then sets out with a small platoon to go and kill Hyakimaru. And finally, Hyakimaru has found Dororo's location and takes a small boat to the island he is on.
So that makes sense. That's why we had this detour to go tell like Hyakimaru's like story so that he can come back in time for the next episode. So that makes sense.
Yep.
I was just like, what happened to the sharks at the beginning of this episode? But yeah. Poor sharks.
The sharks will be back. Don't worry.
Wait till the next episode.
Interesting. Anything else you guys noticed about this episode that was interesting?
Not really.
Yeah, it was kind of... I didn't find that much to talk about with this one. It was just like, okay, this is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think with these kind of long anime, there are gonna be shows like episodes like this. It's better than
Karakuri Circus.
No, the one with the gay guys who are always like
Yuri on Ice,
killing things.
Banana Fish.
Yes, it's better than Banana Fish.
Gay guys killing things. Banana Fish for $100.
Oh, man.
It's better than like the weird Stolly episodes in Banana Fish.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still a little awkward. I don't know why shows always have those when they're longer.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
But I always liked Jukai as a character, so I was glad to see him again. I just think he's really interesting. But
he is interesting. I was really pissed with the part where his like apprentice or whatever.
Oh yeah,
like flipped his shit. I'm like, listen, people change.
What happened to that dude? I don't remember.
He went off. He left, but I don't know if we've seen him ever again.
No, we haven't seen him since.
Predicted
I was like, wait, did something happen? Or
I don't think so. We predicted that he would like meet up with Dororo or something at some point. And then Dororo might tell him like the true nature of Hyakimaru, but that hasn't happened yet. So, and maybe it will never happen. I don't know.
We still got 7 episodes, so who knows?
True.
Anything can happen.
You guys ready to take a short break?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. We will be right back.
Hey. Do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penisplex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I am Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
The Trash Pandas bring you this nugget from another trash can. What happens when Brains and Bullets discuss episode 2 of One Punch Man?
Pretty much gene splicing heads. They will
Yep.
Yeah, they will splice genes. They have a cyborg gorilla. They have frog that walks on 2 legs and communicates at long range. Like they got, you think they splice
the Lion King?
Yeah, they have the lion. They have a lion, beast king, and
Simba.
Yeah, he's Simba. I don't mean he's Simba. I mean he's Simba.
We at Trash Pandas Watch Anime dig through the trash so you don't have to. You can find the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter where you'll get live updates from what we do.
Wah ha ha! And we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
It's time to talk about Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2, also known as Season 4. Episode...
It is Season 4. They don't get to fucking lie to themselves.
Exactly. It's episode 52.
We're going to call them on it. They're like the emperors who has no clothes. And we're like standing and being like, you're naked! We're tired of it.
Episode 52 or 3 of this part called Descent. And so, this episode starts off with an extended flashback to when Eren last tried to, like, plug up the walls. And Reiner and Bertholdt are overheard discussing that they're Titans by Marco. And Reiner decides, like, they can't let him live and has Annie remove his ODM gear, and they watch as he gets eaten by a Titan, basically. But, like, Reiner seemingly doesn't understand why this is happening when he comes back to his senses, like... Or, like, he's shown this before, right? Where he kind of, like, has, like, a split personality disorder almost, where...
Yeah, he's got something going on there.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting, because Reiner's, like, other half, who does know what's going on, always seems to be more dominant than Bertholdt is.
Yeah.
But, like, in the end, Bertholdt is more dominant. He's just more subtle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
It's a weird dynamic between the two of them. Yeah. We then see the night before the current attack when Reiner and Bertholdt are drinking tea with this blonde-haired man with ugly-ass glasses.
The mystery man.
He tells them to try to put thoughts of Annie out of their heads, saying that she's probably fine given the regenerative powers of Titans, of which this blonde guy is a Titan. He reaffirms that their one goal is to capture the coordinate and end this cursed history. And it seems like Reiner fought this guy at some point in the past because he tells Reiner that if he doesn't honor their agreement and if he loses in battle again, he'll have to give up his armor to another warrior Titan. So that's the stakes of this coming battle, I guess. The Titan that carries stuff around, like the weird one that Kat pointed out last podcast, that's like the luggage on its back.
It talks too. It's weird.
Yeah, he talks here and he calls the blonde guy War Chief Zeke. So that's his name. And warns him that the scout troops are on their way. And so the next morning, Reiner and Bertholdt get into positions to prepare for the ambush, and Reiner lectures Bertholdt about like not thinking for himself enough despite having the strongest Titan ability. And he also tells him like to think about his beloved Annie and also about how they'll save Krista for Emir's sake as well. So that's what Bertholdt is fighting for, is Annie, I guess. Interesting. So back in present time, several scouts are celebrating the defeat of Reiner because, you know, they had used the thunder spears on him and everything. But Sasha and Connie are like kind of like openly weeping because they lost their former friend. And Armin is like justifying it though, saying like they had no time to negotiate and they didn't have the power to capture him. So what could they have possibly done? But anyway, it turns out Reiner's still alive.
Fucking bullshit, dude. How do you kill this fucking guy?
He's ridiculous is what he is. And so he like screams out, which is a signal to Bertholdt and the Beast Titan. And so the Beast Titan like picks up Bertholdt, who's in like a little barrel, and just like tosses him over the city walls. And Armin picks up on this immediately and realizes like the Colossal Titan is on his way. And if he changes, like he's gonna explode and kill everyone within a certain range. And so instead he lands on top of his he lands on top of Reiner's Titan form and finds that Reiner is like still barely alive.
Which is such bullshit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Come on,
But why?
now he's like survived
You can
two
say
things.
bullshit after Bcom tells you
Yeah,
why.
he transferred his consciousness throughout his entire nervous system, which is like a last resort measure. And it's like,
What?
Nah, it's bullshit.
Kind of fucked up shit did you just make up just so he'd be alive right now? God damn it.
it's pretty OP.
Now he has like two separate things that should have killed him in 2 episodes that magically somehow don't.
This is true. Yeah,
That's
it's
annoying.
pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
But Reiner has always been like a tough son of a bitch, so I guess it makes sense to be really hard to kill him. And so Bertholdt, who has not changed into Titan form, says he tells Reiner he's going to end things and heads towards the scouts. And so Hanj orders everyone to attack and defend Eren, but Armin like gets in front of her really quickly and takes this like one last opportunity to try to negotiate with Bertholdt first.
Who does not know how to fucking negotiate?
Yeah, Bertholdt basically tells Armin he wants 2 things. He wants Eren and for humanity to die within the walls.
Oh, I know. He's like, well, can we negotiate for you all to die? I'm like, what?
No.
It's like, can you give me these 2
not
things?
negotiation.
Well, I mean, that's the point. There is no negotiating because, like, what they want is completely at odds with what any of the scouts would ever want to happen. So,
It's so interesting to me that they're so radicalized.
yeah, it is interesting. I really want to dig into that. Like, once we start learning about this warlord Zeke and like all of the Beast Titans plans and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, why do they think this weird cultish way? Like, oh, they can only like when Reinar is yelling at Annie, and he's like, you know that these people are nothing, and like, da da da, and like you can tell she's conflicted because on the one hand she cares about all of them a lot, but on the other hand she's been conditioned her whole life to think that these people are nothing.
Yeah, and like the way that Bertholdt and Reiner talk about it is like that these things have to happen. Like that's the way they always say it. They're like this must happen. It's not anyone's fault, but like these are the things that have to happen for like the world to move on or something. So
it's just like, why? Yeah, it's really odd.
I mean, I'm sure we'll find out, but so yeah, Armin tries to get underneath Bertholdt's skin by bringing up how he doesn't want to hear Annie's screams of agony any longer. But Bertholdt like keeps his cool. He even says that allowing Armin to negotiate with him was just a test of his own resolve. And so at this point, Mikasa, who's heard enough of this shit, jumps in and tries to surprise attack Bertholdt, but he actually is able to fend her off somehow.
When did he get that good? Who can defend off Mikasa other than probably Levi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Titan, you know. He's got special powers.
He's got plot armor, is what he has.
Yeah. So he jumps away, and Mikasa warns Armin, like, don't follow, because like if they get too close, they'll just get caught in his transformation explosion. And Mikasa also says that Bertholdt seems like a completely different person when she was fighting him. So maybe that's a hint at why he was able to fend her off. Is that like he didn't seem like the same guy at all? I don't
His
know.
other split personality.
Yeah, super duper sword fighting Bertholdt version 2. I don't know. So yeah, Reiner is able to flip over onto his back, which stops the scouts from finishing him off because it like protects the back of his neck, which was like torn open. And so Bertholdt flies like really high into the sky with his ODM gear and then transforms with a gigantic explosion. And it's unclear whether this explosion like enveloped Hanja's squad, who were pretty close. Though I doubt she would just die like that. This is Hans we're talking about. But yeah, Mikasa and Armin make it back to Eren, Connie, and Sasha, and they are basically going to need to take Bertholdt out themselves in order to keep him from like killing their other forces. So it's like all up to them. And then so also there's this brief scene where we see Reiner healing his destroyed face. And he looks like one of those aliens from Mars Attacks.
Because of the brain, yeah.
Yeah, the brain is sticking out in the eyes. I was laughing at that. And yeah, if it wasn't extremely clear before, we see the Beast Titan scratch his ear, just like War Chief Zeke, the blonde guy, did when he was talking with Reiner and Bertholdt early in the episode. So they are the same person. Just in case that was not clear. So yeah, and that's where it leaves off, continuing this battle.
Yeah, this thing is going on and on.
Yeah, but it makes sense. It's like a big moment. Like, I don't
They're
know.
still not at the fucking basement. If they aren't at least at the basement 6 episodes in, we're not getting the basement this season.
Well, I mean, what if the basement just exploded in the transformation?
I'm tired of this fucking buildup.
No, they get to the basement, and that's the final episode, and it ends before they can go inside.
Oh my god.
I hear Kat just like destroying her home when that happens.
And like the last frame is just the director of the Attack on Titan just pulling down his pants and like flashing the whole audience like, fuck you.
They go into the basement and they find like a Blu-ray, and it's just like Cabinary of the Iron Fortress.
I really like that show.
Tune in to season 2.
Oh, I would definitely watch a season 2.
All right.
I mean, it's okay. Yeah. All right.
Ready for the next one?
Let's hope we get to the point eventually with that. But yes, we're on to One Punch Man season 2.
Yay.
The martial arts tournament.
Very exciting.
So the council has lost contact with Metal Bat. And they call in more heroes to help, and the council's like, do we even have enough fucking manpower to defeat this centipede thing? Because it doesn't look too good. And this hero called Metal Knight comes to help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And I keep calling this guy the lesser pineapple thing. Because what the fuck? It's a pineapple. Also, why... If you were a pineapple, if that was like your superpower, first of all, how did you get that way? Second of all, like, wouldn't you just hate that and want to change back?
Maybe your dad drank a lot of pineapple juice before you were born because he was trying
to. So his jizz was just pineapple?
Yeah.
And it like morphed. Like when he came out of his mother, was he just a pineapple?
Yeah, it
was
must have hurt
prickly?
a lot.
Did it kill her vag?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Because a pineapple tree sprouted from it, and then he dropped from it.
Oh my god! And like, I'm just thinking, he must just never have sex. Because like, who wants to have sex with a giant pineapple?
I mean, you could like cut open his head and and eat some pineapple. I mean, it seems like a really good
but
deal.
That has nothing to do with sex. What do you mean? You can cut open his
like,
head and eat
killing two birds with one stone, you know?
Move
man.
on, please.
Anyway.
It's so stupid to talk about.
I'm just saying, it's weird. It's a bizarre choice.
It is a weird character.
So the lesser pineapple thing almost gets away with like the senator and the senator's son, but some lesser monsters confront them, and they're like, "We're not letting you get away." And apparently a lot of the lesser monsters have appeared all around the city once, like as if mounting an offensive almost, like they all planned it, which is concerning. And Garo and Metal Bat like are fighting, but Metal Bat is already pretty beat up, so he's got blood pouring down his face, and he's got blood on his face. Big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place. Okay, I mean, come on. How could I not? The fight is still pretty, like, shitty, to be honest, at this point. It's very, like, still shoddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And the explosions all conveniently take place blocked by a building, so they don't have to animate the explosion. Did you notice that?
I didn't, but that makes sense, yeah.
They do it like 3 times. They're like, and there was a giant explosion, but you can't see it because there's this dumpster here. Like,
all the tricks. God.
Yeah. It's a shame, since this might have been like an actually really good fight if they had animated it decently. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's interesting that they're fighting. It's just not greatly animated. The tornado move was interesting, where he like moves his bat around or whatever. But he just keeps fighting for so fucking long, and I just kept being like, "Isn't he tired? Like, is he not human?"
That's his resolve, I guess.
I guess. And then Garo finally defeats Metal Bat, or at least it looks like it, but his hands are shaking from the bat. And just as Metal Bat is about to do a sneak attack on Garo, his sister ruins it. So Metal Bat's like, all right, I've faked like Garo's won. I'm gonna sneak around, sneak attack him from behind, and then his fucking sister comes. And is like, hey, blah, 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 and like ruins the sneak attack.
I love her.
At worst case of lame siblings ruining shit for you. Like, come on. And then she demands that Garo not fight anymore, because it's her rule that Metal Bat won't fight around her. And Garo's like, why should I follow your family's rule? But like, since he's already saying that, like, he already lost. The moment he asked her that, he lost. And we all know it. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
And
you gotta respect a little sister. Can't do anything.
Yeah. And so he leaves, and she punches her, and like Metal Bat's like, I need to help them more, and like goes to help the other heroes, and she's like, no, and like punches him, and he's out. Yeah. And I think she's going to be fucking terrifying in a few years. And maybe that's why the rule is in place. So that, like, she doesn't get violent ideas.
And, like, here's my question from this. Like, who do you think is stronger with, like, a one slap? Is it One Punch Man or is it Metal Bat's little sister? Because, honestly, they seem, like, equally effective to me.
Yeah.
She took him down, like, a ton of bricks. Like, bam.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, so that was insane. And meanwhile, okay, I hate the names of some of these like villains and shit. Jellyfish and weird bird monster attempt to kidnap the sister.
No, he's like Phoenix Man or something, right?
A Phoenix Man, but like, okay. Also, I have a beef with this guy. Okay, Phoenix Man. Is this a man in a suit?
Yes.
There is a human hand at one point that comes out of that fucking bird.
Yes, Cat. Without being a spoiler, because I've read ahead in the manga, he is a man inside a phoenix suit, and I won't go any farther because then I'll just be revealing his backstory. But he's a man in a mascot suit.
But why?
I can't tell you. That would be a spoiler.
What the fuck?
He has his reasons, and that's later on.
He is a fucked up, deranged individual, is what he is.
Like most
yeah, pretty
people in
much.
this
That's what
show.
you find out. Yeah.
God, that is so. Imagine if you're like, oh, your town's getting destroyed, you know, blah, blah. There's a man in a fucking phoenix suit who's like naked underneath it, going around town, doing whatever he pleases. That's the end days right there. Anyway, that weirded me out so bad. I was like, what the fuck?
You guessed it right, 100%. It's a man inside a phoenix suit that has been monsterized, which should be coming up before the season's over. So keep going.
Yeah, they keep talking about monsterizing people. Okay, so Garo stops them and is like, I'm not joining your monster association. Fuck you. I'm not being monsterized. And then he calls them creeps. And I'm like, yes, I agree. I never thought I'd agree with Garo on something. And apparently the centipede is just a remote-controlled drone, because that's what one of the other villains says.
Yeah.
And then they just take the kid and go. And you find out other cities are facing even worse monsters. And that, like, apparently all over the world, like, all of the cities are being attacked.
Yep.
It would suck to live in this world.
Bizarre. It's, I don't know. And then apparently the show decided that my idea from last episode, that the two plots should be separate, they were like, we agree with you, Kat. And so they did that this episode, which is great. It's made it much easier to narrate. So the second half of the episode is all about Saitama and this martial arts tournament. So at the very beginning of that arc, they introduce fucking way too many fighters
Holy
all
shit,
at
yeah.
once. Like, literally, it's like 7 minutes of them being like, and then there's this fighter, blah, 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 and then there's this fighter, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I can't. Yeah.
Like, I think
it's
it was
bullshit.
honestly supposed to be a joke, like that there's like all these characters. But if it's not a joke, then I'm like, oh my god. I feel like I feel like there were around like 25 new characters introduced in this episode alone, and I was just like, this is insane. Like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah. And then Genos is in the stands, just solemnly clapping, just like, yes.
Oh yeah, for Saitama.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then Sourface is having a little panic attack in the corner. because he's like having stage fright or some shit. And that's pretty adorable. And he reminds everyone he's only like 19, which is insane for him to be 19.
He looks like he's 45.
Yeah. And then Saitama is so stupid about martial arts, like he doesn't have any knowledge, and so he can't even tie his belt correctly, and they have to tie it, which that's a legit thing. Because when I started martial arts, like, I did not know how complicated it is to tie those belts.
Yeah. I remember having to learn that, and I got used to it, and now I totally don't remember how I did it, though.
I don't remember either.
Well, okay, because I worked at a martial arts place for a little bit, and so, like, I would have to help tie the little kids' ones.
Yeah.
And I think I could still tie it on someone else, but I don't think I could do it to myself anymore. So, it's complicated. But yeah, so I was like, oh, that's true. That is hard. But yeah, and then Bang Sensei was apparently supposed to be a judge, and then he canceled to go help with the fighting since like the whole city is dying. and I love how the martial arts people are like, it's a disgrace. Like, we're having this martial arts tournament, and even though the whole city is falling to ribbons and like people are dying in the street, it doesn't matter because this is a martial arts tournament and this is more important than anything. And I'm just like, no. Like, I'm pretty sure since it's a giant disaster for your entire town, you should probably all cancel your fucking little tournament and go help.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like, you find out there's this weird separation between the Hero Association and martial arts. And martial artists consider themselves above heroes.
Which is dumb.
Which is elitist and strange.
Though when you see some of these heroes that look like pineapple men, I guess you can understand.
Yeah! I mean...
That's a good point. You're like,
come
on, we're above that guy. Come on, right? Right?
We don't need to be like the pineapple man, okay? We have dignity. I love... Oh, man. But yeah, and then Saitama's like, just like, hopefully I have fun, and is just completely oblivious to all of these people being nervous about this martial arts tournament. And then Bang comments at one point that they must find Garo before he ends up as a monster and not just a villain. So like, I guess they're changing a lot of people into monsters somehow. And so there's like a little part at the end where they switch back to the main arc again, just so FYI.
Okay. Yep.
You see this dominatrix woman.
Oh, Kat, rumor is you were the inspiration behind this villain.
I was not the inspiration for this fucking
At first, I thought you were making a cameo, but I was like, oh no, she's just a rumor. She's just the inspiration.
I'm pretty sure One Punch Man people aren't like, you remember that podcast with that girl? We're going to make a villain that just fucking embodies her.
Super S is her name.
Super S. Should I change my my picture
sadist.
on Discord to the Super S?
Please do. Please do.
Okay, I'll have to do it. She is really fucking hot. The whole time she was on, I was like, yeah, girl.
Yeah, I don't think
I'd
you'll
play
see
with
it, but
you.
wait till she takes off her mask.
I mean, she's already fucking hot as shit.
Just tell her to leave the mask on, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see. But yeah, and apparently just as she has like love slaves, which I thought was fun, but it's been done before.
She
in a lot
whips
of shows.
you, and then you're under her control.
But yeah, just as they hinted, things
just the
in
way
other
Kat
cities.
likes it.
Oh yeah. But just as they hinted, in other cities, things are going very badly. And and then the part at the very, very end. So there's this in the martial arts tournament. There's this hero called like Zara Lako.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, oh, he's so cute. Oh. And he's like, I brought my girlfriend here today. And if I win, I'm going to propose to her.
I remember
I
that now.
invited my girlfriend to come. And then he gets his ass.
Bcom and I sat here, we were like, who the fuck is she talking about when we were reading your notes? But now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. He gets his ass just fucking whooped. And like even the announcer guy is like, that's a shame. and then they find out his girlfriend didn't even bother to show up. And the announcer's like, oh, good then. It's not ruined. And he's like, it's not good at all.
Oh my god, trying to find a silver lining, but no, I don't think that's not going to go well.
So one of the really funnier parts in here was when they introduced Saitama, his character with Chonko. Is that who he's
Tarango.
Yeah.
And they go, and his style is fists of seltzer water on the rocks. And I fucking lost my shit. Because I couldn't remember the name of the guy's style. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
Very refreshing, bubbly style. Oh man, this show is fucking goofy as hell. It's ridiculous.
It's really goofy, but it's sad we lost the really good animation for the action.
Yeah,
because
it hurts
that's
the show.
It sold the first season so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I felt like introducing like a billion new characters here worked better than it did in Mob Psycho that one time, where because like this show is so much goofier that like it can kind of get away with this as like a joke that like obviously the creator just loves coming up with goofy characters, like he just loves it.
And
like
from what I can remember, it's following the manga to a T. Like this is exactly what happened in the manga. They were like, "Ooh, chapter update," and I went to read it, and I was like, "Who the fuck were all those people?"
At a certain point, that needs to like calm down, and they need to focus on like a key group of people. But I don't know. I can't. You can't like stop them from doing what they want to do. So, oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for the next episode?
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right, I'm glad Leo's ready and raring to go. Sarazanmai.
Give me a minute.
Episode
I'm ready.
5. Crack one open. I want to connect, but I can't be forgiven. So
I'm cat puking in the corner now.
Oh wow, your cat sounds so human.
No, cat on our podcast that said she was puking in the corner earlier.
Oh, yeah.
This episode starts off like pretty cryptically. Kazuki remembers watching his little brother Haruka being born and thinking that he wants to protect him. But then soon after, when Kazuki is 10 years old, his grandfather died, and on the hospital's bed said, "Your mother was sloppy," or was a sloppy.
What the fuck?
In his dying breath. And like all the family's standing there like, what the fuck? And Kazuki interpreted this as like a confirmation that his mother wasn't actually his mother, but someone else who adopted him. And because of this, he feels completely disconnected from this family. And so that was strange.
Still your mother. She still acts like her mother. She still treats you as her son. She's your fucking mother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in present time, Kazuki and Toei are carrying out this plan to swap the real Sarazanmai, so Haruka doesn't notice that she's a different person at the signing. And Toei's kind of annoyed that Kazuki isn't acting any differently now that he knows about Toei's secrets and motivations, but Kazuki basically tells him like that he really just envies Toei.
I feel like a big problem I have with the show is like these people are so intentionally seeking out drama. I'm like, you guys are wearing on me so hard. Just let it be. Stop trying to seek it out. Nothing's
Kazuki
really
is
that
definitely a very
wrong.
like overly dramatic person in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Like in real life, I could not stand this guy.
Yeah.
I would like so openly avoid him at all possible costs.
Well, okay, Kazuki is like at that stage in life where like you want okay, you know a lot of teenagers are like this. You want something to be upset about.
Yeah.
You want to be
Which is why
dramatic.
I was never friends with any of them.
And like things are, that's basically what he's doing. He's being a little emo teen, and like a lot of people are that way when they're teenagers.
His inner Sasuke is strong.
He is
Yeah.
very strong.
I did think his grandfather was a little shit, because you don't say to someone, "Your mother was a sloppy woman," with your dying breath. That's the last thing you'll ever say, and that's what you chose.
And
to
I guess
make it
kind of
about.
assuming that that was also his daughter. He's saying that about his daughter.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
Screwed up, yeah.
It was fucked up.
So at the place where the signing is going to be, Toei knocks out Sara's manager with a cucumber in the bathroom and ties him to the toilet and throws away his pants so he can't like leave, which was funny. And then he goes
Doesn't
and
he
finds
have
the
like
real
pink boxers also?
Oh yeah, he's got pink boxers on. Yeah,
It's like cliche or something.
he finds the real Sarazanmai and like ushers her away for some pictures. And this girl is like obsessed with big cucumbers, by the way. She's like, cucumber dish. So
She's having some fun behind the scenes with some cucumbers, is what you're saying.
It's very
She's
interesting.
got like a big bowl just full of them.
Yeah.
She just.
Though
I
she
heard you
also
like
likes cutting them.
cucumbers. I heard you like cucumbers, but have you seen my pickle?
So Haruka texts Kazuki, who he thinks is Sarah, and sets up a secret phrase to say, Sarah, yeah. So he sets up a secret phase to say, from beginning to end, we're connected in a big circle, is the phrase. And Kazuki is holding on to this connection with his little brother, even if it's fake. And so the corpse of the day belongs to Neo Ino Fukuro.
Oh my god! See, it's every time this pops up, my mind goes, "All right, you got a minute and a half to scroll Twitter because everything that's going to be on the screen for the next minute and a half you have seen already."
I somewhat agree with you because nothing that they typically say about the person in this minute segment is that important compared to when they actually go and like take the desire from their butt. Because that's when you learn like the real deal.
I never thought in our fucking podcast history that we would have a serious discussion. It's just never as important as when they take the desire from their butt.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we're at with anime. Okay,
this is where we are. Everyone, just take a deep breath, take it in.
Like, because like, yeah, they tell you like, okay, this guy is an unemployed man who is involved with the Asakusa Natural Treasure Sachet incident. It's like, so it's like, it doesn't tell you anything, but like, so this guy
I thought it was very fun to hear them chant sachet, sachet,
yeah,
sachet,
yeah.
sachet over and over. Much more so than at the other ones.
Yeah. So this guy was experimenting on giant salamanders with super spicy curry, which caused them to emit a specific type of smell that he was looking for. And we'll find out more about that later. Like I said, we always find like the true nature of this like after the fact. So Toei struggles to try to lock Sarah into various places, but every time he tries, she turns into like a Kappa version of herself and like squeezes out through a crack. So that's kind of funny. I liked.
Yeah, but then it makes me wonder,
creepy.
why is she a Kappa? What's her deal in all this?
I know, it's interesting. I'm very curious. I wonder if it's like Kepi's wife.
Maybe they're like separated.
Yeah. She was really into cucumbers, and he didn't like that.
Yeah, he was jealous of the cucumbers. He was so angry. A pot of tea could boil on his belly about the cucumbers.
Exactly, yeah. The fan meet begins, and Enta's worried that everyone will catch on to Kazuki, but no one really seems to notice that he's not the real Sarah, including Haruka at first. And Haruka's like,
which is ridiculous because come on, that boy has not a drop of makeup on his face.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's close enough.
I mean, come on.
I mean, if you're in the audience,
at least
you're
have
like,
some eyeliner, some like
blush.
basic concealer, some blush. It's not that hard.
You can just be like, she must look very different on TV. I don't know. It's so weird. In person, she looks like a guy, and it's strange.
Looks like a guy in a wig. It's really odd. Yeah.
So Haruka's wheeled on stage, and Kazuki has a brief flashback remembering when he was entering middle school and had decided to like dress differently. And Haruka had told him then, like, no matter what he dressed like, they would always be connected in a circle, like that secret phrase that they planned. And so they repeat in present day, but like the manager has somehow escaped from being tied up in a bathroom and calls Kazuki out for being an imposter in the front of the crowd.
It's been established Kuji sucks at tying people up.
Oh,
at this point,
A little bit.
So Enta thinks really fast and grabs onto the manager, claiming like this guy's an exhibitionist because he's not wearing, pants. However, the real Sarah walks in at that moment, and Haruka finds out she doesn't know the secret catchphrase, and so Haruka looks
on here?
looks back at Kazuki just as the manager rips off his wig, revealing that it's his brother. And so Kazuki runs away to the Kepi statue, and Toei is like pissed at him for acting like he's the victim when he's the one who hurt Haruka in this situation. But Kazuki's upset because he had promised himself never to hurt his little brother again. Kazuki's just a mess. Kepi Kepi suddenly turns them into Kappas so they can go extract the desire from the sachet guy. And it turns out this guy was looking to find the scent of this girl who was someone special to him. Specifically, maybe the scent of her feet, because you see him like smelling her feet. And so I guess her feet are very spicy.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that scene.
Her feet are very spicy.
Apparently.
Oh.
They smell like hot curry and a giant salamander. Apparently is what they smell like. So the guys enter like the leaking phase, the mind leak, whatever. And Kazuki remembers the first time he met his biological mother, who is super hot, by the way.
Yep.
But the weird thing is that she has a very nostalgic scent to him. And also Haruka holds that sachet scent pouch for some reason. And so there's some connection here. And so Kazuki is sort of distracted by this and loses the butt pearl.
Oh my god. So did anyone else think of that weird meme from like 2000 of like, and then we go back and forth over and over?
I have not seen this meme.
You don't want to.
Oh,
but
God.
imagine like you pull something out of someone's ass, you put it in your own ass,
Yeah.
and then it gets sucked back into the original person's ass.
Oh boy.
What the
What
fuck?
kind of insane orgy is this?
Kat, what are you doing on the internet? You need to stop.
Everyone
mean,
needs to stop.
I was kind of surprised. Like, I didn't realize when they took the desire from the butts of these people that they stuck it up their own Kappa butt for
They have
safekeeping.
to store that desire in their own Kappa butt. Because where else would you put desire?
I thought they swallowed it.
Well, maybe they do swallow it,
But
but then
it
he
ends up
shits
in
it
their
out
butt.
again. Yeah.
Like, it immediately gravitates to their butt. It's like it magnifies links there.
Yeah, because this one goes back to the Kappa zombie, and like they don't defeat him this time.
Yeah.
And because of this, Kepi won't turn them back into humans at the end of the episode. And Kazuki remembers talking with his biological mother and deciding that his family with Haruka was more important than his biological mother, that seems healthy. On the way home that day, Haruka ran to find Kazuki and try to stop him from
Oh my
leaving.
God. Please tell me
That
the moment
was
you saw
obnoxious.
the crosswalk, you went, God,
Truck-kun.
fucking
Oh,
damn,
yeah.
truck-kun.
I got
Truck-kun.
so excited. I started like rubbing my hands back and forth together. I was like,
Here we
Truck-kun's been on
go.
holiday. He's been waiting for this. Just off screen the whole time. He's been driving
Nobody
around
in
the
an
city.
anime should ever go out into traffic. This always happens.
Dude, the moment it pops up, they're at a crosswalk and they're arguing, and you're just like, I know exactly where the fuck this is going, and that's
Yeah.
exactly where it went. And I was like,
Yeah, because
come on.
Kazuki resents his little brother in this moment, and he like slaps his hand away and tries to cross the street without him, and like Haruka waits a few seconds and then tries to run out into the middle of the street. And then Truck-kun comes in, and Haruka gets isekai'd into Rise of the Shield Hero. That's how it begins. Or any number of other isekais. But yeah, so not actually. He's just in a wheelchair, and he will never walk again. And basically because of that, Kazuki feels like a monster living with a family who still unconditionally accepts him despite what he
big
did.
thing was, nobody blamed me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck.
He just needs something to be upset about. It's like, do you remember where he talked to the other guy who killed someone, and he's
Yeah.
like, well, but at least I almost envy you, because he wants something to
Yeah,
feel
that
bad about.
idea
And the
is
other guy,
it's so tiring to me. I'm like,
Yeah. Understandable.
it's understandable to me, because I went through my like weird punk emo phase, and like it's a stupid thing, but like teenagers are that way. They're just stupid for a while. So in a way, it's like kind of realistic, you know?
It's definitely realistic because, like, I know people who can't help but be over dramatic about everything, especially when they were teenagers. But
Yeah,
even
yeah.
still,
So,
yeah, I
don't
can't
know.
stand him in real life, and can't stand him in fantasy either. So I just hate
definitely
this
annoying.
character.
Just never have kids, Leo. Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, so I thought it was interesting. Well, like, Kazuki is kind of becoming more and more like one of those weird pervert people that gets transformed by the otters.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
you're right.
He's exhibiting these behaviors that are kind
Delinquent.
of delinquent and kind of like crazy. just like a lot of those other people did. And I could see that being like a plot point in the future, right? Like they try to pick him up and like transform him into one of these weird desire zombie things.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if that actually happens. I want to make the prediction now and see what occurs.
It was interesting. The otter guys like finally kind of succeeded this episode for once, and there was like a short bit of dialogue between them, but I didn't get what was happening between them, so I didn't even like include it.
Well, they also report to a higher power, right?
Yeah, like the
that
otter
was last episode.
Overlord. Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out more about them, I'm sure, eventually. But yeah,
I've actually started to be like fond of their little otter dams. Honestly.
Oh yeah, I like it. It's fun. Soya.
Soya.
Speaking of dances, let's talk about another musical show.
Carole Tuesday!
A way better show!
Yes! Okay. So, like, episode 5, Every Breath You Take. So,
every move you make,
I'll be watching you.
Take,
every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you.
So, at the beginning of the episode, everyone in the group is all talking again because they tried these 2 ways. They both failed. They didn't make the music video. So they're like, try 3, Project Hit the Streets. We're going to do a performance. But apparently neither of them has ever performed, and this is concerning, obviously. But everyone has a first performance. And they're like, the manager is like, well, I know this guy named Hofner. And okay, is that how you say his name? Yeah, Gus.
You probably say it like Hugh Hefner, like Hefner.
Like Hefner?
Yeah.
Because I was like, fuck, I don't know how to say this word. And he's like, I want to see if I can get you guys into the Sidonia Festival. And Gus is like, okay, you guys need more than 3 songs. That's really not enough for a concert. You need to be working on this. While they're talking, suddenly the power goes out. And they obviously fucking need money because no one's paying bills.
Yeah, they've like barely been working at all, so yeah.
I know. And then the blonde guy is on task to bring Tuesday home. And I don't know his name. Like, is her brother?
Oh, the brother's name is Spencer.
Ooh.
Spencer?
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought it was so, like, cute, but also fucking obnoxious and naive. How Tuesday was like, I've never had a job before.
Well, we know how she grew up, so that's not surprising.
But it's not that it's surprising. It's just annoying. And then like her looking through and trying to find one. And then it's interesting. The future here is kind of like there aren't very many human jobs left anymore, which is pretty realistic to how things eventually will be, probably, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that scene from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original, how they, like his grandfather or his father, he used to put the toothpaste caps on, but then the machines took over, so he became one of the guys who fixes the machines, so he could still have a job.
Yep.
That and that's so far ago, and like that's like something we're kind of starting to deal with now.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just cool.
But yeah, and then one of them gets a job walking AI pets. And this really pissed me off because I was thinking to myself, isn't the whole point of an AI pet that you don't have to walk it and you don't have to worry about that shit?
Didn't they give a reason why they had to be walked?
I don't know.
Don't think
yeah,
so.
they gave the reason was something like because then they become sad or something like that.
God.
Well, I assume
I was just like, what?
If you're going to make like an AI pet for somebody, the point of an AI pet would be that they never die, right?
Okay.
But then you would want them to be as realistic as possible otherwise. So you would have to take them out on walks.
Fur, and it wouldn't, I don't know. I don't think I could do an AI pet ever. But that was interesting. I don't know. Meanwhile, the idol's mom.
They probably sound like those crows anyways.
Yeah. Looks into Mr. Tao to be safe. Like she did a background check on him. And apparently he used to be a neuroscientist and specialized in fucking mind control.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, and that means you're not trustworthy. And he claps back at her though, and is like, well, you were fucking arrested for assault twice in the past, and you're androgynous. And I'm like, wow, that's information we didn't know, like the arrests for assault.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, why are you mentioning that? And then in the same breath, and you're androgynous.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, it's like Martian androgyny, so it's like something that is specific to Mars too, which is a weird thing.
Yeah, but it's bizarre. Like, I don't know if it's like a condition.
I think
It's interesting. It'll be interesting if they show us more about that later.
Yeah.
And then Gus goes to see his friend, and he gets blocked by AIs at the door. But then Hefner happens to be walking by, and he calls off the AI and talks with Gus anyway. And Roddy goes to see Gus's ex, and like he's kind of thinking, okay, this is the better way to go about this, because I know that Gus is gonna fail. I'm gonna have to pick up the slack.
No, that's not Gus's ex.
That's not Gus's
ex. Is that not Gus's ex?
It's,
it looked like Gus's ex to
it's
me.
a different woman with another cool haircut.
Older lady.
Oh, they looked okay. So who is that then?
She just runs this bar that has like a stage, basically.
So because he was talking to her, and they didn't do any exposition, so I was like, it must be that lady from the last episode.
I think it was like somebody he used to work for like forever ago. It's kind of what I gathered. They don't really
They needed to be more clear about that, because I totally assumed.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yeah, that was a pretty smooth transition, and like if you didn't catch it, it was
Yeah. But yeah, so Roddy goes to see this lady, and he's trying to zip it up because he doesn't think that Gus is going to be able to get it, which is valid.
Yep.
And Spencer gets off the train and is like in the city now. So throughout this whole episode, you get kind of flashes of him, like just progressing in his search. So Tal takes the idol and her mom to this intergalactic head office. I think it's hilarious that it's like, oh, it's a hedge fund.
It's not her mom.
It's
her manager.
Well, it's also her mom. It's
What?
her manager and her mom.
Dahlia's her mom?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When did I miss that conversation?
In the car, they had a conversation about it.
She called her mom like in episode 1 or 2 in the car, and it's confirmed on the website.
Oh, I just felt like she called her mom because like that's what she wanted to be called.
Yeah, it's really, again, like everything about Dahlia, I wish they would explain more, because she's the weirdest, most mysterious character in the show.
Especially when they did the thing when they're like Mars androgynous, and then they didn't say anything. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I think it's funny they named it the guy Schwartz, because it's like a reference to the company.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and basically Tao's like, I want you to invest $12 million in this idol. And he's like, do a demo for this guy. And, she's going to perform. Meanwhile, Hefner doesn't seem too impressed with his old friend. He points out that this group that Gus is asking him to invest in, like they've never performed anywhere. They don't have anything out. And he rejects him because he's like, I can't do this. Like, I may be the head of this organization now, but that doesn't mean I can just do it just because we're friends.
Which is fair, honestly. Like,
it is fair. Yeah. And Gus makes a comment that the industry has turned his old friend into just another suit. And Hefner is like, all right, AIs, drag this fucking guy away. And it's like, it's a shame that we didn't just reminisce about the past, because like that would have gone better. And suddenly Gus threatens to like expose everything you've done in the past. And Hefner's like right back at you. And then Gus protests that he didn't do anything wrong as he's dragged away. And I was like, huh. Like, I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, what shady stuff did they used to do?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff I wonder if they're going to ever address, or if it's all going to just be mysterious,
Mm-hmm.
Roddy asks again if his friend will let the girls perform, and of course she's kind of having the same issues Hefner was having. She's like, this is one of the only independent clubs left, and like I can't just let anyone in here just because they know you. And he tries to show her the video that he did, and she's like, I can't tell anything from this video. Like, it doesn't really show me how they are in person. And Roddy makes this comment that, like, his ears didn't pick up their talent, but, like, rather his heart did or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is so corny. But, like, she ends up giving him a chance because she never sees Roddy like this, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, across town, the idol sings her demo. And there's no background music, and that annoyed me a little bit because I was like, I mean, if you're doing a whole demo, wouldn't you play the music? And
Yeah, they're just like singing a cappella instead.
He really just needs to hear the voice, I guess.
I guess. But yeah,
her voice is interesting. It is
good.
It's like a very much like a pop radio voice, like that a guy at a hedge fund would invest $12 million in. Like,
yeah,
you'd be like, oh, yep, that sounds like it's going to be a radio hit. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it did sound interesting. I thought it was interesting the quote he makes after she finishes singing, "Open your eyes and dream. There you will find your market."
Yeah.
I was like, what is that even? Come on, dude. But he does give them money. But I think really it's more about Tal than her.
Yeah.
I think she could have just been, as long as she was just okay, he was going to give it to them just because it's Tal. So
yeah.
I'm not really sure what the point of the demo even was, honestly.
Well, he doesn't trust Tao. I mean, it's like any like businessman, like they need like a taste of like what they're getting into, you know? Any venture capitalist guy is going to want that, so.
Yeah. And then Spencer is just going randomly around town at this point asking about the girls. And he even asked the guy that lives below them, and he like won't give them up, kind of. And
that's the guy that's renting his storage shed to them, yeah.
Yeah, he's like not gonna. And the girls practice outside since their power is still off. I mean, I could not live with like that long without power. Come on, guys, what are you doing? And then there's a point in this episode where I don't remember what the context of the conversation was, but Gus makes a joke about like his friend groping him, because I think they're talking about like which one of them was successful in getting them a spot to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes a joke that his friend like groped him, and then it's like, which parts did he touch or whatever? And there's no such thing as a free lunch. And I thought it was like an interesting commentary on like almost the Me Too movement.
Really?
It was almost like supposed to be a joke there, kind of. Maybe. I have no idea if it was meant that way or if it's just a weird coincidence. I think like it's good that they did it with a guy though, because like I don't think they could have made that joke with a girl.
Yeah, probably not. It would not have worked out as well.
Yeah. But that was an interesting joke to me. But yeah. Anyway. And then yeah, so they do the performance at the independent place, and it was a really awesome performance.
It was
they really
amazing. I think it's my favorite song yet.
I actually think it might be too, and I actually really like how much they emphasized it and they took their time with their performance.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just see the owner as she's listening to them. Like she calls someone immediately, and she's like booking them for something else because she knows a good thing.
She's like, I actually got something here.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, and I also thought so Spencer hears them from outside because he's walking around town, and he just comes in and listens and leaves, and it's like he's giving them a chance. Like he knows that his mom wants Tuesday back, but he's like, no. She's enjoying herself.
Yeah, he can really tell my sister is really trying to achieve this on her own and doing her best, and he's just going to let her do her thing. Yeah.
He's looking out for her.
Which is really awesome for him. Like, he does that, and you're like, all right, I like this Spencer guy now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the things I felt was really authentic about this performance is that you could see that Tuesday was in charge of starting this pre-recorded drum loop that they made in an app on their phone or on her phone.
It's also one of those you blink if you miss moments, but it is really neat to see.
But it's like totally like That's what people do these days. Like when they don't have like a full band or anything, like they will use a phone app to provide like background
to do their
stuff.
drum loop for them or something. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do.
I do think it's a bit ridiculous that they've just written a new song for every like new gig that they've gotten this far. But to be fair, like they're just starting out and like they're really ambitious. So I guess fine, they'll write a new song. It's crazy that they've all been very good, but yeah.
I mean, the washing machine one was a little weird, but
I liked
this
it.
one was really good.
This one was very good. Yeah.
The washing machine
Yeah.
is in the next one. Again.
No more washing machine.
No, I mean, not the like. I mean, we're gonna spoil it then, but like they just like updated it and made it like a full song. So
Hopefully, it's better.
It's
better.
not.
I thought it was better.
But we'll talk about that
in the next episode.
Oh man. But yeah, Leo, I think got a bit teary-eyed at this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. That
That's
song was like
amazing.
really touching. It like really touched on like their struggle of like getting to where they were at like really well. I felt like, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, you won't get teary-eyed at like a guy who takes the desire from another guy's butt.
You want to get teary-eyed from someone pulling something out of someone else's ass?
Are there such things as tears of horror? Because then maybe.
Oh man. Well, that was another week of anime. That was exciting.
Yes,
Yep.
it was exciting.
Thank everybody for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos.
Oh, no mid-season cuts? Oh, this is 5, isn't
Oh,
it?
episode
Fuck.
5. You're
Oh,
a
that's
week
coming
ahead.
next
That's next
time.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
My
gotta
bad.
we gotta catch up
We
on
got
some
behind
things.
and we're actually already have the next doc done. That's why. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you can't tell them the inner guts.
The
They
immersion's
can't know we're
broken.
We
human.
can't let them know
damn
that
it, Leo.
Bcom needs to edit fucking faster.
This is true. Well, a bunch of episodes are going to be coming out all at once because I'm going on a vacation for like 4 days. And so like 3 episodes are going to come out right before that. So that'll be exciting.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, like as I was saying that, I'm scrolling up and I'm like, I see it's episode 5. And I'm like, fuck.
So yeah, you can
All
find
right.
our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and also you can follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates on everything. And come hang out on our Discord where we've been chatting a lot recently. It's been fun. The link to that's in our description to join. And yeah, with all that said, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye. Shit.